Everybody in Warsaw is ready for change. That's the biggest thing in Warsaw right now. My name's Andre Reid. I'm a designer. I moved to Warsaw 3, 4 years ago from Birmingham, kind of being pushed out by the housing prices in the city of Birmingham. And we moved into Plec, which isn't too far from the town centre, but actually it's one of the more like impoverished areas in the town. Those areas that you think of are of impoverished and all of that, and have like the migrant communities have the best shops, so I can get all the food I want. I kind of ended up falling in love with the city or with the town of Warsaw after really noticing there was such a potential in the town. I started to feel like this vibe and this energy and this kind of thing I wanted to tap into and like expose. And so I started the project in the town to kind of work with local people and do the work that I've been doing all over the UK to kind of just bring people to be closer connected to the development that they're doing and in the town, to like regeneration, to like placemaking, so that like so we can all be involved more in like how our neighborhoods look, feel, like, and how we feel in those spaces too. And so I started talking to people here about my idea and what I wanted to do, and just kind of doing it in the open, because it's not just for me, it's to try and kind of bring communities together. It's trying to create something that we all care about and we all like resonate with. And started to learn a lot more about the town that I didn't realize was here. The things that I used to come and visit as a child, like the markets and the lights, and then I've come to like reappreciate those things, even though a lot of those things have disappeared or started to vanish from the town. I wanted to work on like bringing that creative provision, like that creative vibe, that energy back to Warsaw, and like just reinvigorating that spirit. We're not just creative, we're strategic. We think about where we want things to be, why we want them to be there, and like what impact that's going to have on us as people living in the town, people visiting the town, people working in the town, like to be more conscious and like involved in those decisions, and at the same time not having to wait or ask for permission. So not necessarily going in and saying we're going to wait for funding to do this, just starting with the vision and doing all the, I guess, the hard work, like finding the building, which we found on Leicester Street, which used to be the old Hogshead. I think one of the most beautiful buildings in Warsaw. Warsaw has many beautiful buildings. My personal favorite still is the Imperial, which sits just outside of I think it's St. Paul's Church, just in the middle of the town centre. And if you look down the high street and if you look up above eye level, even above the McDonald's and the new look, actually, if you look, you're seeing all this string of like architecture from the 1700s. You don't really notice or appreciate that until you start to slow down. So there is that piece of work that I want to do in terms of helping people like slow down and look at the abundance here. I think one of the things we have to be careful of, and it's one of the things that I'm conscious of here in Warsaw as well, is we end up being or signing up to this kind of hero culture where we expect one person to solve all the issues. We lay it all on them, and if they get anything wrong, then they're the villain of the situation, right? So there has to be ways for people as individuals to all feel their own sense of power in the situation. So we all feel like heroes, we're all leaders in this as well. And I think to do that, it just takes time and lifting people up that have already been doing like wonderful work. And in Warsaw, there's loads of people that have been doing wonderful work, loads of people that people talk about a part of Warsaw I interact with is the canals. So like that's for where I live. I am literally a 30-second walk to the nearest canal path, so I can literally drop down onto the canal. It's about a 20-minute walk into the town centre, and it's just, for me, that path I really enjoy. I take my son down that path. There's parts of it I really love, and how interesting it is to just see like the people fishing in the canal, which they're probably not meant to do. And all the things, like just meeting random people and just having conversations down there, and then seeing the artwork, which is like there's this specific graffiti wall that just seems to always change every month. It's a new piece on the same wall, which is super interesting. It's having that almost like bit of green and kind of self-contained space in such a busy town. And when you come out, that part right at the front of the town center, just by the new art gallery, that dock, That's like one of my favorite spaces as well. I feel like it's a specific landmark. There's the landmarks you'll forget, like the hippo that you sit on, and you'll sit on the hippo. And if you weren't from Warsaw, you won't even know what that means. And another landmark you might forget is the bus station. I think the bus station is really nice, and they've repainted it, and it looks really good. I think it's a really good central hub. One of the places I end up chilling in Warsaw is either in that art gallery, like in the Costa, or I'll just, to be honest, I really like just wandering and exploring and strolling. So I've strolled all the way up to like St. Matthew's Church, like right on the top of the hill, and I'll stroll round, look over Warsaw, and then I'll stroll round random housing estates and all of these different areas because it's different. You can look on one street and you've got new build houses that you've never seen before, and then you've got these houses from like the 1800s, 1900s. And then you've got terraces. You've got all of these different things that come together when you walk through those streets. I know people you would speak of like Warsaw as being like this really racially divided place, and in many ways there probably is still a lot of that. But when I've traveled round, people generally will talk. They'll be curious to why you're there, and it's not like a hostility thing. Actually, it's more like, well, let me tell you a bit about this place. A lot of people that are in Warsaw are migrants too, in the sense of we've traveled to Warsaw for a certain reason, and we've ended up settling here. And so we have a common ground in terms of, oh, I came here 10 years ago, or I came here 3 years ago. It doesn't matter. We're all meeting in the same place. We're all sharing this experience of just like learning to love the place, desiring to do more with this place where we're living. There's this thing in Warsaw of togetherness, regardless. Like I know they talk about social divide and all of that, but when it comes to like wanting better for the town, it won't be we're competing. It will be actually let's do what we can together, and that's the energy I'm feeling. That's the vibe I get. Is that create the opportunities or show the opportunities, and people will jump in and try to do their bit to help make it happen. And so it's good for everybody involved. So yeah, that's the best thing about Warsaw right now.